From NBC News, this is Meet the Press with Tim Russert.
With the New Hampshire primary only 6 weeks away, do we have a Democratic frontrunner? Some party polls and political pundits say it's our guest this morning, Governor Bill Clinton of Arkansas. Governor, good morning.
Good morning, Tim.
Do you want to be president?
I do.
Here's your chance. The president's heading towards Japan. If President Clinton was over there talking to our Japanese allies, what should the president be doing? What should the president be saying? What should he bring home to this country in form of concession?
In my opinion, he should do two things. First of all, he should say to the Japanese, look, there are at least 20 significant areas, high technology, electronics, agriculture, construction, services, where your trade barriers are costing us $10 billion and 300,000 jobs a year. Last month, the Fortune 500 companies announced 300,000 layoffs. We're going to have to move on these trade barriers if you don't want reciprocal trade barriers in our country. He should be very tough. The second thing he should do is be honest. He should acknowledge the fact that our country has a lot to learn from them. We have to organize to compete in the global economy. We've got to train our workers better. We've got to reduce our deficit. We've got to control health care costs. He's got those auto companies there with him, those executives. We've got over $700 in health care in every American car. They have about $200. Our executives are paid 6 times as much as their Japanese counterparts, even though they're losing money. So he ought to say, we know we've got some things to learn, and we're here to learn about what you're doing well. We're going to go home and do our part, but you're going to have to treat us more fairly if you don't want us to retaliate.
Now, Congressman Gebhardt, the majority leader in the House of Representatives, has said that unless the Japanese eliminate the $41 billion trade deficit in the next 5 years, the United States should limit by 1/3 the number of Japanese automobiles allowed into this country. Do you support Congressman Gebhardt?
I don't believe we should limit exports from Japan just blanket. I think we have to have we ought to give them some time to tear down their trade barriers.
Well, he's giving them 5 years.
I understand that, but let me also tell you, we gave the auto companies protection in the Reagan years. We gave them everything they wanted. They wanted trade protection, they wanted labor concessions, they wanted lower taxes, they wanted regulatory relief. They got it all. What did they do? General Motors went out and spent $8 billion buying 2 other companies. They increased car prices instead of maintaining market share. They raised executive pay and compensation and laid their workers off, and their market share went from 44 to 33% of the American car market. That's the problem. In other words, I wouldn't protect our market unless I had specific commitments on the part of the people running the business sector in this country to make the changes it takes to compete and win. Otherwise, we still won't maintain the jobs. We tried it that way in the 80s.
Now, a congressman who represents some of those auto workers in Michigan, John Dingell, however, said that the recession is being made in Japan. Is that a fair statement?
I think the recession is being made by 12 years of national neglect, where we're the only major country in the world without a national economic strategy to get and keep good jobs, a national education strategy, a national health care policy, and a national energy policy.
How do you respond to critics who say that you brought the nation to war under false pretenses?
Yes. First of all, I expected to find the weapons. I'm sitting behind this desk making a very difficult decision of war and peace, and I based my decision on the best intelligence possible, intelligence that had been gathered over the years, intelligence that not only our analysts thought was valid, but analysts from other countries thought was valid. And I made a decision based upon that intelligence in the context of the war against terror. In other words, we were attacked, and therefore every threat had to be reanalyzed. Every threat had to be looked at. Every potential harm to America had to be judged in the context of this war on terror. And I made the decision, obviously, to take our case to the international community in the hopes that we could achieve a disarmament of Saddam Hussein peacefully. In other words, we looked at the intelligence and we remembered the fact that he had used weapons, which meant he had weapons. We knew the fact that he was paying for suicide bombers. We knew the fact that he was funding terrorist groups. In other words, he was a dangerous man, and that was the intelligence I was using prior to the run-up to this war. Now, this is a vital question.
The 565 votes, the Secretary of State is the one who is saying this, and that's probably why we're not seeing the governor appearing in Austin yet.
Before you go, you know there's been enormous speculation about your political future. Will you serve your full 6-year term as U.S. Senator from Illinois?
Absolutely. You know, some of this hype's been a little overblown. It's flattering, but I have to remind people that I haven't been sworn in yet. I don't know where the restrooms are in the Senate. I'm going to have to figure out how to work the phones, answer constituent mail. I expect to be in the Senate for quite some time, and hopefully I'll build up my seniority from my current position, which I believe is 99th out of 100.
Now, can you put this cup over your head?
No.
Why?
Because I haven't won it.
That's right. Only those who win the cup can put it over their head, but you can, sir, give it a hug. Thank you, my assistant, Mr. Luke Russert. That's all for today. We'll be back next week. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press. See you then. One last thing. If we can have peace in the Middle East, Buffalo can certainly get revenge against the Cowboys today in Dallas. Go Bills, 4 o'clock.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.